This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a daily combat sports news update. And actually, this is the most exciting wrestling news I've heard in a long time. Eric Bischoff on his podcast with Conrad Thompson was talking about the possibility that he's heard from people within the business that Vince could be in talks of starting a new wrestling company on Fox. Apparently, he has a new studio. He's started an entertainment company. He's hired a bunch of former WWE executives. For everyone saying that, oh, he can't do this, he would never do this. Wrestling has always been his specialty. The bodybuilding failed, the football failed. When was the last WWE movie thing we've seen? The Evil Knievel jump failed. Why would he do anything but wrestling? And I'll be honest, the current WWE product is boring to me. The current AEW product is not only boring, it's actually so unwatchable. It's angering to me. And a lot of people agree with me, by the way. We had a fan poll on here. 980 of you voted that WCW is even better than the current crap on AEW. 88% of you said WCW was better. In other wrestling news, The Rock returned to SmackDown on Friday. They went from having their lowest rating of the year the previous week to up to a 0.51 rating with The Rock this week, which was the highest of the year so far. Overall, the appearance, it's always great to see The Rock, but the overall SmackDown was underwhelming. Apparently, they've also added The Rock to the Toronto WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Tickets are not, I mean, they got over 30,000 tickets sold, but the place holds, I think for WrestleMania 6, they had 68,000. So for something they've been promoting as John Cena's final appearance ever in Toronto, I mean, 30,000 in a 68,000 seat building is not great. So hopefully The Rock will bring some more interest to that. It's unknown what he's going to do at WrestleMania this year, but it's likely he's going to do something. Tickets are far from sold out for WrestleManias both nights this year, and so far it's looking like it might be Cena against Rhodes and Jey Uso against Gunther. That's hardly worthy of two nights, but with The Rock back in the mix, who knows what could happen. It does seem the press conference they had after SmackDown on Friday was fake. Dave Meltzer brought up like one of the questions was, what food do you eat on cheat day? Not one person asked The Rock if he was going to wrestle this year. And there was a bunch of weird questions like, oh, are the renovations to the Superdome the reason why WWE is coming back here for WrestleMania in the future? It's like questions that nobody really cares about, and there was no real meaty questions asked, which is typical of these WWE press conferences. As far as the Vince McMahon Janelle Grant case, I mean, his federal investigation is over. That's over and done with. Both sides, according to Meltzer, probably want a settlement. It's clear in the arbitration agreement that any issues out of the settlement would have to be dealt with in arbitration. So Janelle Grant's whole thing of breaking the settlement agreement, then trying to start a lawsuit on something she's already settled on, and then doing something else outside of the settlement agreement, trying to restart this case in court when it's part of the agreement. Any issues with the agreement have to be dealt with in arbitration. It's unlikely, in my opinion, that this thing will not be sent back to arbitration. But according to Dave Meltzer, there's no timeline on when the judge would have to make a ruling. Overall, people don't care about this case anymore. There's a small percentage that do, but so much has come out of of this to question her credibility. And I think the whole Vince McMahon Netflix documentary, if anything, softened his image a little bit. Ryan Nemith, who is suing Tony Khan, CM Punk, and AEW in a bizarre lawsuit. He threw an insult at CM Punk. CM Punk confronted him about it. He backed down from the confrontation, ratted Punk out to executives, then got taken off TV for a long time, but was kept under contract and eventually let go. It's a definitely a frivolous lawsuit, but Dave Meltzer brings up that Ryan Nemeth had thrown out his insult to CM Punk on Twitter, saying that Punk was the softest wrestler alive. Without any leverage, he was a low card enhancement guy saying that about a top guy. You can't insult a top guy. And, like, quite frankly, they should have fired him right there. But for whatever reason, they kept paying him. But Meltzer brings up that Punk also didn't like Adam Page or the Young Bucks, but they remained on TV because they had pull. Nemeth was a low card guy that was rarely on TV when all this went down. So it's not like any fans were going to complain or not, whether or not he was on TV. But that lawsuit is just pathetic. I mean, this Ryan Nemeth guy is the ultimate pussy. The ultimate pussy. He calls a guy out, then the guy confronts him, and not only does he back down from the confrontation, he rats the guy out. Then he tries to file a lawsuit over it. Give me a break. Apparently, WWE office employees are unhappy right now, according to reports, because ever since the merger with UFC, they have had more work to do, but their pay has not increased despite record profits. And this is not wrestlers. These are actual office employees. Wrestler pay is higher than ever right now, and they have to work less than ever. Apparently, WWE comps about 8 to 10% of their audiences historically. But now that they're doing less shows, they're not giving out as many free tickets to employees and wrestlers. And then, of course, it depends if there's a low pre-sale or not. Dave agrees with me that wrestling's boring. Like, no matter what you think of McMahon, he did put wrestling on the map. And there needs to be some sort of a shakeup in wrestling. I don't see any negatives about a third major company opening up.